Good morning. Welcome back to the Retirement Report. I'm Hank Parrott, your host. All right, we spent a lot of show talking about the Secure Act and filling you in on some of these big changes and the impact. And as I said, we'll be getting into some planning strategies with you in the future. I've talked a little bit about them already, but there'll be a lot of opportunity here to, anytime you have big changes, there's both the potential for the downside of it, if you will, all right, the negative pieces. I just mentioned one of them being the 10-year payout, for instance, on an inherited IRA. That's going to change a lot of strategies that we've employed in the past. And we're going to have to now come up with new strategies, new planning opportunities for you to take advantage of, all right, how you can use this then to your best benefit. One of those is going to be a Roth conversion strategies. That's one that we use a lot anyway, all right, as a way to reduce net taxation, both for you during your lifetime as well as, of course, for your family. So if you look at the way I look at retirement accounts, I look at retirement accounts through your lifetime, how you get the most benefit from those, but also thinking, you know, that assuming you're not going to use all of them, right? And we're not concerned about, and if legacy is a part of your planning, of course, that's a big part of what we're doing. But even if it's not, there's going to be money left over, likely, because we don't know how long we're going to live, and we don't want to run out, so we're going to always have a reserve there. And then what happens with that money, and how do we minimize taxes? So the goal is we just want to minimize taxes. We don't want to pay any more than we're legally required to pay. And it's you know, unfortunate that so many people, just because they don't know how these, you know, the rules work, and they don't understand some of the different planning strategies available to them, end up paying more than they're legally required to pay, just because they don't know how the game is played, if you will. All right. So when it comes to taxes, there are opportunities within the tax code that allow us to reduce our taxes, allow us to take advantage of these rules, all right, and the ones that are beneficial to us, to pay less tax, so that we're only paying what we're legally required to pay. We're not just overpaying taxes because we didn't understand how to implement a rule. An example is Roth conversions. All right, Roth conversions, understanding that with Roth IRAs, the opportunity to turn monies that are growing tax deferred and will be taxable when we take them out, how to maybe pay less tax now, convert them into tax-free accounts, so that we don't have to pay higher taxes in the future. There's an easy example, and with this new legislation, this is one of those strategies that's going to become even more important as far as long-term taxation of retirement accounts. All right. One of the things in going over, in the time we have left this morning, I want to get into a little bit about these retirement accounts and talk to you and educate you a little more about them and some of the planning opportunities that's there. So the first slide I have talks about qualified money versus non-qualified money. And basically what you're looking at when we talk about qualified versus non-qualified, qualified means it's tax qualified. Simply means it's either an IRA or a company plan like a 401k, a 403b, TSP, your thrift savings plan. Again, for you federal employees and military out there, we do a lot. I have a lot of clients that are retired military and retired federal employees, and you have a whole lot of different rules that go with your, you know, both with regard to pensions and other benefits like health care, potentially with life insurance, a lot of decisions that you have to make, a lot of complexities with regard to your pensions and options that you have there, and how to get the most benefit. And of course, with your thrift savings plan, a lot of choices around that as well. So qualified money is money that is tax qualified. Simply means, is all that simply means. So that's, again, all the retirement type accounts. And then you have non-qualified money, which is everything else. So that's money that's just maybe savings that you have, or investments or brokerage accounts where that come from investments you've made outside of your retirement accounts. And understanding the rules here can be so important, both in taking advantage of some of the different tax laws that are out there and what they mean to you. How you invest is an example. If you've got money in a qualified account and money in a non-qualified account, you know, one strategy I've shared in the past is how to, a tax efficient strategy, for instance, is that understanding how bonds are taxed. Bond the earnings or the interest off of bonds in your portfolio. So if you've got a portfolio, stocks and bonds, let's say it's 50-50. 50% is in stocks and 50% in bonds. And let's say you've got, $500,000, let's say in a in a non-qualified, a brokerage account, and you've got $500,000 in your IRA. Okay, well, how do these things work together? And whatever the dollars amounts are, but let's stick with this for now, that's 500 in each one, and you've got a same investment strategy. You've got 50-50 stocks and bonds in each one. Well, since bonds are taxed at ordinary income tax rates, and IRA monies, that when it comes out, is taxed at ordinary income tax rates, putting them together makes sense, whereas stocks are taxed at capital gains tax rates, which are lower than in ordinary income tax rates if they're in a non-qualified account. In other words, a brokerage account or that type of account. So if I've got an account at, say, TD Ameritrade that's got $500,000 in it, that's just a brokerage account, it's not a retirement account, and I get 500 in the other, I don't want to have 50-50 stocks and bonds in each of those accounts, because my stocks in my retirement account are going to get taxed at ordinary income tax rates instead of capital gains tax rates. So therefore, I want to have all my bonds in my IRAs, and I want to have all my stocks outside of that. Now, that's a very simplified example. There are, obviously the numbers aren't going to be that balanced. You might have 200 here and 150 there, or whatever it might be. As far as those different accounts go. So there are ways, though, that we put them together to take advantage of these rules. So understanding how those works is so important. And so qualified money is more valuable than non-qualified, potentially. Okay, that not necessarily. This is how you're going to use those, is where the advantage is going to come in. But in terms of how much you're putting in, the tax deferral piece is where the value can come in at. And keeping it safe is so important on any of your accounts. All right, so some common questions that we get, and this is in particular with baby boomers. When you're at that retirement age, you may have questions. When do you need to take withdrawals, and how much do you have to take? All right, this goes to the question of required minimum distributions, and we've been talking about those rules are changing, effective in just a couple of weeks. So how are your IRA, 401k withdrawals taxed? Again, ordinary income tax rates, and this is an important understanding how the tax code works and what the difference between ordinary income tax rates and qualified dividends and capital gains, long-term capital gains rates, how they differ and how they can be used to save you money and to minimize taxes when you're taking income in retirement. How do these retirement accounts fit into your overall plan, both for growth, for estate planning, for income planning, all of that? There are a lot of rules to understand and to implement to get the most income with the least amount of tax being paid. And of course, minimizing risk is an important part of your planning as well. And then what happens when die? So the estate planning, when you're gone, what happens to your retirement accounts? And what's going to happen is going to depend on the type of planning you do. If you want to get the maximum benefit, so important to have a good plan in place. And of course, all of that is about minimizing taxes through your lifetime and that of your children and grandchildren as well. The effect that you can have there on minimizing taxes for your family, rather than having the IRS get more of that money, keeping more of it in the family with good planning, is what it's about. So if you look on the next slide, qualified account basics, we're talking about contributions. All right, they may be tax deductible. If you're putting money into a 401k, or of course, or IRA or whatever, you don't have to pay tax on those dollars. If it's a traditional IRA, 401k, 403b, thrift savings plan, all of those. Your savings is, of course, it's growing tax deferred as well. So you don't have to pay tax on the money you put in. It grows tax deferred. And when you take the money out, it's usually going to be taxable to you, all right? Whether it's in one, and however you stretch that out is going to be the key. Here's one of the things I want you to understand when it comes to retirement accounts. When you're looking at your retirement accounts and understanding, how you're going to use those when it comes to your retirement, having a plan and understanding, when we do the comprehensive planning I talk about, and we're going to take a break, when we come back and we'll talk a little more about it, but when you do that comprehensive planning, I'm showing you your financial future, a big part of that is determining then, well, what's the rate of return I need on my money to not run out of money those taxes, how do I minimize those taxes so I'm stretching my dollars out even more, right? And good planning is going to show you that, and it's going to show it to you so that you can make better choices today to get maximum benefit later as well. All right, I'll get into more detail with that after this break. Join me here. We'll be right back on the Retirement Report.